Good evening, traders. It is March 31st, 8:56 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to another video with Digital Goatz Academy. I'm your host, Antoine Farrar, and welcome to our market overview session. It seems like it's been a minute since I've actually talked to the community, man. I know not necessarily I took a week off, but because of how we were doing things in my Discord, I decided not to post any of my YouTube videos. I wanted to make it more personable for my community. So if you were wondering where my absence, why I was absent, that's the reason why. And one of my videos, by the time that I was going to release it, the information was no longer relevant in my opinion. So let's just go into our market overview for today. If you're tuning into this video as well, also make sure you hit that like button, comment on anything you agree with, disagree with, and as always, hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps. But let's get into it. So first thing I obviously want to look at is US 30. You know, that's really the only thing I care about, traders, right? It's US 30. What is Dirty 30 doing? As well, other currencies. I'll probably talk about oil for like a quick second. No, is this the chart that I was looking at? Yeah, so this is our original chart for US 30 that we've been kind of following overall. I've been using the Black Bull. I've been using Black Bull as a broker. Now, this is just for trading views. So this is just me charting. This isn't for like me actually trading. My broker is KOT. That's who I use. So, but this is what I use to chart Black Bull as well as Oanda. So let's just kind of talk about where we're at currently. Now, this morning, if you look at, well, one, what happened last week, because we didn't do a weekly review for last week, right? So let's go into what happened last week and let's do it off the daily time frame, right? Oh, we were already there, weren't we? So last week, the market gapped up, right? Well, it was bullish. It was bullish last week, closed Friday. My bad. That was the week before. So pretty much the past 2 weeks, the market was bullish, right? So last Sunday, the market gapped up. This is where it gapped, and it reclaimed that Friday. Friday is where the market dropped down, and then Sunday it gapped down again, and then opened up Monday towards like noon. It pretty much closed bullish. So these were good signs that we wanted to see. This wasn't a bullish engulfing candle, but it was still a bullish candle that we wanted to see, because if we break it down on the smaller time frames, we can see that it probably is engulfing a couple of candles. So engulfed this area right here, which was consolidation, broke out of that zone. Now we are in the zones of a lot of gaps within the market. So if you can look, last week, the market decided to come a little bit lower than our previous 10 o'clock candle. If y'all can see that. Let me kind of zoom in. So remember we were talking about that the week prior, my bad. The week prior, we were talking about this 10 o'clock candle, and the market actually filled it. And it filled it with a candle structure, basically. Things that I like to see to clarify or to get a little bit more clarity on what the market is overall trying to do. So where we're at currently is that we're at a bull candle. This is what happened today. So this is the 8-hour time frame. The market closed bullish. Good sign for today, right? And that's a strong time frame because it is on the 8-hour. Now we're currently pulling back to whatever area that the market is going to retest. So again, if you just draw your Fibonacci tool, now I'm thinking, because this candle is pretty aggressive, I'm thinking our retest will be a little shallow and keep the momentum up. The thing to remember is that this is NFP week, and the fact that this market is actually like respecting support during NFP, I'm thinking that, you know, and again, it doesn't matter what I think, but I'm thinking that NFP is going to be the booster to push the market back up to these levels, to these previous high zones that we wanted to see pretty much last week and the week prior to that. So if you can see, it's creating structure. Again, turn to a line chart if you're confused about what the structure is you're looking at. We can see 2 points of contact right here. The market dropped a little bit lower. So the only thing is based off the Fibonacci, is it going to come back to retest this previous consolidation right here? I mean, it's a line moving sideways. So even if you were confused, like, look, this is consolidation. So a line moving sideways. I don't necessarily want to see it come as low as the previous high. What I would like for it to do again is to be a shallow pullback and then the momentum keep pushing to the upside. How can we identify that? Turn it into a Hakanashi candle to see if there's any momentum to the upside. And yes, we do. Based off this 8 hour candle, we're seeing some momentum to the upside as far as buyers coming in. Oh yeah, 4 hour. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that stuff. I'm not trying to make it weird or anything. That's what you want to see. Like, all honesty, this is what you want to see. That's why I'm getting excited because this is telling me that bulls are in the market unless something else happens. Now, I haven't checked what the news outlets are saying for the dollar in pertaining to anything that's in the United States. So I have to check that, but don't get confused or don't get so become paranoid just because it's NFP week, because that's what tend to happen. You believe, oh man, NFP is probably going to reverse this thing or whatever the case may be. It could be docile. NFP could not be that aggressive and could just move the market in the direction that it was trying to go. To me, right here, this area right here, you see this resistance that the market rejected. To me, this is fake resistance. So one thing that I was talking about with one of my group members is that you have to establish support and resistance on each time frame. So, like when you're looking at it on the hour time frame and you see that the market broke up, started creating structure basically at a certain price zone, and look at that. I didn't even see that right there. Support right there on the 4 hour time frame. You see this? You see this dip? And you see that? Support right there, right? So the market decided to find support. So you have to scale in and scale out to identify these areas of support. So on the hour time frame, it might have not been this aggressive, but it created some type of structure in order to push the market up. This is the 4 hour time frame. So we can see our break here and then our push down in our area. This was our valley. The market pushed up, retested this zone as far as we can tell right now. So it retested or it supported. And if you're confused, let me get rid of this. So I'm drawing it to the future or where we're currently at, present. Change that. Let's just make that black real quick. So you see this? The market is respecting this as support, and we have to respect it as such as well. So you see that there's no, I mean, basically there's no coincidence that this market pushed down to these areas, blew past all that to take out current buyers and then push the market up. This was something that I was thinking that was going to happen anyway, that the market basically Monday drives the market down to push out buyers and even confuse sellers, you know what I'm saying? So maybe sellers were still in and then it pushes the market back up to the sell position, but more than likely it'll probably continue pushing up and breaking through now that we have some type of structure to identify off of. So this is our support. This is our true support right here. If we want to just annotate that, let's just say true support until the market violates it. Now, we'll know this week if it violates that, hopefully. But what I'm thinking is, well, I wouldn't even say this week. We'll know eventually if this market violates this, if it returns back to this area. I'm not thinking that, again, I'm thinking that we'll push up to higher levels. So even if we were to push back down, I'm thinking we're going to push high if we're going to push back to these lower levels right here. The only thing is that price is currently consolidating right now, right? I mean, pulling back. I don't know why I said consolidating. Well, I mean, yeah, it's consolidating, but pulling back. So we just have to identify what level or what percentage that the market is going to pull back based off of these candles. To me, this is momentum pushed up. So I think the only concern we have right now is what percentages are going to retest this current bull candle that the market is respecting right now or pulling back towards. So again, draw a Fibonacci tool, see where it's at currently. 618 of this candle. So of this entire candle, the market has pulled back to 618 at the open of this bear candle, right? So the current candle we have, it's retesting the high and the low of this bull candle 618. Which is the golden zone that we like to look for. But again, we could have it back to the 786 or 88%. One thing that I look for is like 100%, especially when it's the beginning of the week. But again, I don't know, like, I don't know if the market is going to decide to retest this 100%. What I do know is that based off the Hakanashi candle is that the momentum is definitely for buyers right now. So we'll have to just see as London opens up tonight or in the morning, you know what I'm saying, and then gives us a little bit more data. But I think that we're still bullish, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion. I think that what the market has done is try to identify or create support on a higher time frame. And this is where we're at. The only thing is are we going to play in this zone for a while before we actually get bullish again? So that's the only thing that I'm thinking of. And you can kind of see all the other indices follow the same suit. So S&P, I was trading that today, made a couple of dollars off of S&P. You could see that based off of, what was that, the Hakanashi candle? You can see that based off the Hakanashi candle that, yeah, the momentum is starting to be a little strong right here. The current candle that's open, it's not showing no strong momentum yet, but this candle still has 3 hours left until it's closed. So we'll kind of see what signs are showing, but at least these two candles right here on a 4-hour time frame, that's good information right there. So you can kind of see based off of back test in the past, like how the market has been working right here. You see what I'm saying? So you see this Hakanashi candle, the momentum has gone strong, and then it blew down, pushed the market all the way down, which we kind of knew because we had this gap and stuff here. So I think that, once we get back up here to this gap that we made last week, or the week, what was that, last week? Yeah, the gap that we made last week, I think now when we come back up here, we're going to blow through this, and then this is going to be pretty much our retest zone for entries to buy back up within S&P. So all of this is making sense. Again, it's still the beginning of the year, so a lot of inconsistencies, especially with these tariffs that's going on with Trump. Not to mention, we just had that news with Elon Musk that he stepped down from Doge, which I looked at that as like a positive impact on the market. I know that might seem like a negative thing because like a big figure stepped down from a position, but I was always questioning, like, who is Elon Musk to be involved in the government like that? You know what I'm saying? Do your own research on him being like the president of Doge and stuff, but that's supposed to be like a security job, so to speak, in the United States. And I always thought that was kind of awkward for me, awkward for him to be a part of that, especially since he has two major companies going on right now, which would be SpaceX and Tesla. So him stepping down, to me, I see that as maybe a positive impact, especially to those two companies, because he can put his focus towards those two companies versus like being all over the place. And I think that goes hand in hand with what the shareholders were thinking as well. Like, dude, you can't be spread thin. Like, you gotta focus on what basically is making the shareholders money. So him stepping down to me seems like a positive thing. And we kind of saw, Bitcoin get a little bit bullish this morning and stuff after it pulled down from this weekend. So this weekend, I think that was kind of like the false premise. All right, there's negative news, but I think that was positive, and we're going to see that information play into the markets with such as cryptocurrency as well as the stock market as well. So yeah, we've been looking at Bitcoin since last week. Well, I mean, we've been looking at Bitcoin for a while. So you can see that this was an area of the, this was an area of the, what am I trying to say? Of the range that the market broke out of. Now I got to identify a new range because we have new resistance. So this was the previous resistance before it broke out of that. So now I'm orientating it to the current data that we have. So this is now the new range. Now, but this is now the new range high. But if you look at the range low has been being respected. So we pushed down, what was this? March 18th. So last week, And then over the weekend, it rejected this. And then as the market opened up, it pushed down. And then Monday, the market respected it. So we're still respecting this current range low, which you treat as support. You see, each time the market touched it, it pushed away. Now we just have to wait until what the market is overall doing over here. We don't want to see it push down and break that, because obviously if it's doing that, then it is pushing to the downside a little bit further than we expected. But this was still support. You know what I'm saying? The area that we were looking at was, well, the area that the market started supporting itself was around that 78K threshold. So as long as we don't try to come back down there, we can, we can establish that the market is still trying to buy up, which I do think crypto is still overall bullish in my opinion. I think that we're just ranging in order to continue pushing up. And I think that if we are going to push down, we're going to go up first before we're going to push down. So I think we're going to break this whole area over here, potentially. I think we're going to break this whole area over here. And then once the market, collects the equity over there, we may drive the market down back to these levels, maybe even a little bit lower into the 74K mark. But, I'm overall bullish on Bitcoin unless it shows something, or crypto, unless it shows something otherwise. Like I've kind of been mapping this like really since I started trading. And a lot of times, like I've put myself in bad positions because, over analyzing the market, or not taking the position, or, talking myself out of the overall trend. But I mean, I have all this stuff annotated from like 4 years ago. And I think that Bitcoin truly is about to push out these levels. I don't know if Bitcoin is valid compared to these other tokens, but I do think that it is a way to gain equity while it still exists. So even if you're still skeptical about crypto, just make the money and then figure all that stuff out later. You know what I'm saying? Because you can easily withdraw from these brokers. So if you're worrying about on the investing side, well, make the money buying or selling, you know what I'm saying, cryptocurrency, and then take the equity and then see if you want to invest it into an actual asset of it. Last thing I said I was going to do was talk about oil. I mentioned oil probably about a month ago, that I believe that oil was going to get, because I was still, confident that the dollar was going to be bullish. And oil did break out of that zone from last week, pretty much 2 weeks ago, to be honest. So yeah. Yeah, right here. This is where, and it got bullish this morning. So yeah, oil's going back up, which is good and bad. Good because on the investing side, this is what we were expecting. Bad because that means gas has the potential to go back up in price. So we'll see if gas is going to fluctuate. But it just depends on the volatility of oil. I do see it blowing past all this, but it'll take a while before it gets back up to these positions. But yeah, once we rejected this 65 area, because that was an area that the market established. What was this? Since oil did that crash to like almost $0. What was that? Was it over here? 2023. Okay, yeah. So after the market pushed up, this is where it was establishing some type of support. As you can see, we never blew past that 65 area ever again. Tried to come down here. I mean, it did. So yeah. Never went below 65, which was good signs to me. So now that we're seeing that, the only thing you have to do is find your position. It broke out of this area. We know the market should want to pull back to these zones unless it's consolidating, but should want to pull back to these lower zones. So now that we know the direction, we just have to, be patient for our entry. So oil's looking good. Uh, Indices are looking good. Yeah, I like that. DXY still maintaining that 104 area. Yeah. So the DXY is overall consolidating. That's why it's like It's like moving like this. So until it breaks out of this zone, which I do think we're getting closer than we are farther away, especially since I'm seeing US oil actually make its way back to the upside. So I'm thinking we'll get clarity. Maybe NFP will be the trigger that breaks the dollar up out of this 104 area. But we get that break. All you got to do is wait for that pullback, which will probably be like the following week and stuff. It'll be slow. Well, who's to know? Because the dollar, the DXY doesn't necessarily act like that. If we get a break, it'll probably continue being bullish until it wants to start consolidating or pulling back after going to a high zone. Because I've noticed that with the DXY, it likes to go high or low before it actually starts pulling back. So I'm thinking NFP this week, which I'm hoping for, is going to be our breakout, which we have pairs like such as like GU, which I kind of just stopped messing with it just because the dollar has been in this consolidation period. So we should see pairs like GU start to sell off if we get that push to the upside. But I don't think if we're going to be bullish, I don't think NFP is necessarily going to be the trigger. It's just going to make it more bullish. You see what I'm saying? So I think overall that the market is going to start showing signs before we get to Friday that it is trying to break out of the zone, but NFP will probably be the thing that just makes it extremely bullish, after it clears out probably half the market and then keep going to the upside. But that's all I have for today. This is my market overview, short and sweet. The market isn't showing us a bunch of information that, we can go on and on about. It's just about finding structure, identifying structure, and being on the right side of, the market. So if it's going against you, obviously take your loss. Just take your loss and reassess the market. I've taken plenty of losses where I can make the money back and some. Doesn't feel good to take the loss, but I mean, it feels good to take the loss and still have money versus taking the loss and have no money. But, that's a conversation for another day as we move forward into the year. But appreciate everybody's time today. I know I pushed this out a little bit later than expected, but I have been traveling on the road and stuff. Still no excuse, right? Just got to get better acclimated to my environment so that way I can still do this stuff when I'm on the road. So I will catch everybody in my next video, which would be tomorrow in the morning time. So YouTube, you all will probably get this Wednesday or Thursday. So again, appreciate everybody. Always hit that like button. Always hit that. Always leave a comment on anything you like, disagree, and always hit that subscribe button coming in and coming out. And see you on the next video with Digital Goatz Academy.